This breaking report requires Level 4 classified clearance. This deadly anomalous event has erased over 120,000 species. Unlike any other SCP, this entity does not just kill you. This terrifying predator actively erases you from all of reality. We just discovered 3 redacted files it tried to delete. Stay to witness the final truth before it is gone forever. In the modern world, we are drowning in data. We are archivists of the mundane, chroniclers of the everyday. Every transaction, every message, every moment is logged and stored. We operate under a comforting illusion of digital permanence. But this is a fragile belief. Nothing lasts forever. Information doesn't just fade, it is violently erased. Sometimes the universe itself decides to hit delete. This is the story of SCP-2747, an anomalous storm. It does more than just bring a chill to the air. It brings an end to memory. It brings an erasure. A localized storm that respects no geography, no physical laws. 120,000 genera of life are extinct. The record of their existence is gone with them. Snowflakes are selectively immaterial, phasing through solid matter. Buildings and monuments are eroded into forgotten whispers. Its emergence caused catastrophic loss of data across all mediums. Hard drives wiped clean, books become collections of blank pages. The past is being systematically murdered, rewritten as a void. The storm focused obsessively on 3 specific files. A journey to understand what is being taken from us. The night wind howls, a bitter, angry thing whipping snow and ice down the desolate hillside. In the distance, a brutalist monument to paranoia juts from the frozen plains like a broken bone. This is Site 16. Not a shelter for mankind, but a fortress against the unnatural, built with forbidden science and paratechnology to resist the ravages of time and the meddling of reality benders. Its purpose is singular, to remember. Within its walls, the complete and unaltered history of the Foundation is meant to be safeguarded. Your vehicle crunches over the frozen ground, transitioning onto the disused tarmac of an old access road. Proximity lights flicker to life, casting long, distorted shadows that dance ahead of you. The tall, imposing steel doors, which would intimidate any unauthorized visitor, slide open with a heavy groan. You don't bother with the empty front desk. The entire site is on a skeleton crew, a ghost ship in a sea of ice. Room after empty room confirms it. You are utterly alone. You retrieve a small metallic inhaler from your pocket. The hiss of the canister is loud in the crushing silence. You press the mask to your face and take a deep, shuddering breath. A purplish, minty haze fills your lungs, a Class W mnestic. A drug designed not to make you forget, but to make you remember with perfect, unassailable clarity. In this war against erasure, your own mind must become a fortress. The elevator is thankfully still functional. You step inside and begin the long descent into the Earth's crust. Down here, in the stillness, the mnestics take hold. The mission objective surfaces in your mind, as sharp and clear as a shard of glass. Find the files, read what was erased, understand the enemy. You arrive in a dank, poorly lit sub-basement. The air is thick with the smell of aging paper and ozone. This is the deep archive containing records from before the age of digitization, before SIPnet connected everything. Steel plates on the walls bear designations for various SCPs. You make a beeline for the back, your footsteps echoing as you dart past countless floor-to-ceiling cabinets, each one groaning under the weight of history. You're searching for 3 files in particular, 3 stories that may hold the key to ending this storm. You find the section for SCP-002 through 099. A rolling ladder scrapes against the concrete as you position it. You climb, your fingers tracing the labels until you find it. SCP-087. The file is thick with addenda, personnel records, amnestization schedules, and tucked inside a hand-typed copy of the exploration logs. Log I-TIE 3, and there, at the back, a document that should not exist. Exploration 4. You open it and begin to read. The subject is a D-class personnel chosen for his extensive prior experience in wilderness search and rescue. He is equipped with a high-intensity headlamp, a radio link, extra batteries, flares, and provisions. The video feed opens. The heavy access door to SCP-087 slams shut behind him, plunging the world into absolute darkness. The only light is the faint red glow of the recording indicator. He activates his headlamp. A cone of brilliant white cuts through the gloom, revealing the first flight of concrete stairs. Control asks if he's ready. The D-class scoffs, dropping a chemical light stick over the railing. It falls, illuminating nothing, before vanishing completely. "You guys offering profit sharing on this little venture?" he asks. "I'll take a cut of whatever's down there." The lead researcher, a doctor, reprimands him curtly. "Begin your descent, D-9341. He sighs and starts down, his boots echoing in the oppressive silence. He notes how strange it is, how the stairs only go in one direction, how much it messes with his sense of balance. As he reaches the third flight, a new sound joins the rhythmic thump of his footsteps, the faint pleading cry of a child. "Hey, you guys hear that?" he calls out, his voice suddenly tense. "There's a kid down there. Sounds like they're in trouble." "That is why you are there," the doctor replies, his voice flat. "Continue your descent." The D-class mocks him. "Right. Can I talk to it? Ask it how deep this crazy stairwell goes." He continues down, and the crying grows clearer, seemingly coming from just below him, but also from the darkness far above. A paradox of sound. He descends for another 15 minutes, the crying a constant, unnerving companion. "Do you know who the kid is?" he asks, his earlier bravado gone. The doctor explains that it's likely a mimicry, an auditory illusion. The D-class mulls this over. "You know, the word you're looking for is mimesis," he says, surprisingly. "Mimicry is biological. Mimesis is artistic. It's about representing nature, not becoming it. Let's just hope I find a painting down here and not something pretending to be a kid." The doctor seems surprised. Plato believed mimesis was a corruption, a falsification of reality that led to immorality. The D-class chuckles grimly. "And I bet you knew that's what it would take to get me to open up, didn't you, Doc?" His laugh is cut short by a horrific, grating screech from below. He spins around in a panic, his headlamp beam slashing wildly through the darkness. The doctor demands a status report. "I'm fine," the D-class shouts, his voice trembling. "It came from below, deep below." He continues down for another 10 minutes, the silence now more terrifying than the crying had been. Then his headlamp catches something on the landing below, a glint of metal. His camera remains fixed on it as he advances slowly, his body half turned as if ready to bolt. Jagged, sharp pieces of metal litter the floor. It's the railing. It's been torn apart, shredded. Some sections are split lengthwise, others twisted into brutal, sharp sculptures. The longest piece, nearly 2 meters long, blocks the path, its jagged end pointed directly at him. He inches closer, and the camera catches movement in the periphery. He stops, focusing his light, and then he sees it. A face, pale, featureless, no eyes, no nose, just a black, gaping mouth. It isn't known to have a body, but it shudders, moving downwards one step at a time, a staggered, unnatural ambulation. The D-Class screams, a raw primal sound of pure terror. He scrambles back, turning and doubling his pace down the stairs as the doctor yells at him to maintain visual contact. But the darkness seems to press in, swallowing the light from his lamp. He keeps running, blindly, desperately, until a wet, squelching impact is heard and the camera feed spins wildly. It settles on the face, inches away, staring directly into the lens. The D-Class is screaming. The doctor hesitantly asks for a status report. A moment of silence, then a choked gasp. It got me. The camera pans down. A sharpened thin piece of the railing is embedded in the D-Class's thigh, glistening red. He unpacks his first aid kit, his hands shaking violently. With a cry of pain, he uses a flare to cauterize the heavily bleeding wound. "When were you going to tell me it could do that asterisk, he gasps. "We didn't know," the doctor admits. "There is no record of it causing direct physical harm." The D-Class laughs, a broken, pained sound. "So it was just trying to scare me away? Scare me away from what asterisk? There has to be something down here." Reinvigorated by a grim purpose, he quickens his pace, descending further into the abyss. He takes a short break on the 387th landing, now 2.4 kilometers beneath the surface. As he prepares to continue, the entity comes into view again, waiting silently on the platform below. But this time, the D-Class has a plan. "Okay, Doc," he says, his voice steady. "If all it can do is look at me, then I can just not look." He descends, his gaze fixed firmly on the wall. The camera shows the face appearing at the edge of the screen. It doesn't seem to be looking at the D-Class, but asterisk through asterisk him at the camera itself. A high-pitched electronic shriek begins to emanate from his earpiece. The darkness on screen seems to contort into an expression of rage. The shriek intensifies into a blaring, grating note of pure static. The D-Class rips his earpiece out and throws it. The audio-visual feed dissolves into a storm of black and white noise, and then, in an instant, it's gone. The feed returns to normal. The D-Class is on the next landing, seemingly oblivious. "You can open your eyes now," the doctor says, his voice shaking. Back in the control room, something is wrong. The lights flicker. The doctor leans forward. "We shouldn't be able to witness this," he mutters, seeing text appear in the transcript that he isn't saying. He turns to his team and realizes they are gone. The room is empty. The lights die, plunging him into near darkness, illuminated only by the ghostly glow of the monitors. One by one, they are overtaken by a cascade of error messages, then blink out, leaving him in a blackness as profound as the stairwell itself. And from the speakers, he hears the pleading voice of a child. The man in the archive turns the page, his breath catching in his throat. He's read this file before. It's a standard document shown to new recruits, but it never, ever went like this. He looks ahead and becomes aware of just how many pages are still left to read. On the screen, the D-Class is trying to calm the now panicked doctor. "It's okay, Doc. Snap out of it. Where are you? Is help coming?" From within the pitch-black control room, the doctor whimpers. An orbit of maroon light ignites in the center of the room, momentarily illuminating a scene of impossible geometry. The floor is bending, the walls are twisting, warping space itself around the cowering researcher. From the stairwell, the D-Class shouts that he's going to get help and begins to run, not down, but up. He races back the way he came, flight after flight, the child's pleading growing louder and louder. He suddenly stops. Lying on the ground is a mess of shredded fabric, the remains of a D-Class uniform. It's draped over a body, old, wrinkled, wet. Its skin flakes and peels away. As he watches in horror, the body stretches, twists, its limbs elongating impossibly and wrapping around the bend in the stairs. The D-class gags and retches, then cautiously follows the grotesque trail. He descends for what feels like an eternity, 100 floors, 1,000. Just as his muscles give out, the upper body of the nameless victim comes into view. You can't see a face, but you know it is wrenched in a silent scream, and just beyond the reach of its hand, a new sheaf of papers, another log. You turn the page. A single snowflake lands on the paper, an innocuous bead of moisture that melts, drawing a path down the ink like a tear. The next document is a field log from an expedition into the alternate reality of Tembe. An agent named Lafayette stands before the portal. Their hair is disheveled, their clothes stained. They stare into the camera, flexing their hands, counting their fingers one by one. Behind them, explosions rock the landscape. Lafayette dons a headset and steps through. The camera feed is chaos, dirt, shaking, the sound of loud, wet, rhythmic squelching. As Lafayette emerges into the anomalous town of Tembe, the moon is full. Gnarled, tree-like structures made of flesh and bone extend from the ground, stretching high into the sky. Human mouths are visible on several of them, moaning softly in the wind. As Lafayette walks, a second set of footsteps can be heard, keeping pace just behind them. A shadow cast by the moonlight bobs and weaves alongside their own. A new voice interrupts the log, cold and detached. It narrates. Lafayette stops. They ask who is there. There is no reply. Lafayette continues walking. The two sets of footsteps remain in perfect sync. They reach the edge of town, a twisted parody of suburbia. The houses are wrong. Protrusions of bone and sinew branch from the windows. The cars are broken and dirty. The shadows cast by the flesh trees are long, thin, and sharp. And then the narrator's voice again. It wasn't their first time trying, of course. The others just didn't take. Lafayette looks down. Several of their own ribs have pierced through their uniform, crooking sharply at the ends. They cough, a wet rattling sound. Then again, and again, they collapse. But the log says something different. It says the night is still. The footsteps remain even and constant. Lafayette is in Tembe again, but it's a different Tembe. The cars are older. The streets are paved with cobblestone. The shapes stretching from the buildings are still there, but they are more human now, frozen figures reaching for a sky that will never brighten. Past the edge of town again. More buildings, taller. Another town, older still. The hum of electricity gives way to the hiss of gaslight, which in turn gives way to the flicker of torchlight. Time is unraveling. It should have been sunrise years ago, but the sky remains a starless, bruised black. A baby cries in the distance. Someone is sobbing. They reach a clearing. The only structures are conical mounds of earth arranged in a circle. The narrator's voice returns. A deal's a deal. From the ground, thousands of malformed limbs erupt. Some end in feet, some in hands, some in things not recognizable as any part of a whole. They writhe, they twist, they grow, weaving together. Slowly, impossibly, a spiral staircase of flesh and bone begins to form, reaching for the dark sky. With each step Lafayette takes, another step is formed just ahead. The tower grows. The baby's cries grow louder. Lafayette crests the top. Strands of sinew and hair are woven into a small wicker crib. Something writhes inside. The crooked entity from the previous excursion stands alert beside it, but does not move. Lafayette peers into the crib. A visually normal infant is crying. They reach down and lift the child into their arms. And then the world comes apart. The stairs of flesh retract, lowering them rapidly to the ground. The earth gives a thunderous heave and Lafayette breaks into a run, clutching the child. Far above, the moon is no longer round, but oblong, stretching from horizon to horizon like a predatory smile. A second moon stripe appears, then a third. Jagged cracks crisscross the ground. The flesh trees tie themselves into sharp, jagged knots, choking out the remaining light. The world grows too twisted. It all starts to fold in on itself. A final thought goes through Lafayette's mind. A final memory of a voice whispering behind them, "I told you I would follow." And as the world ends, someone is laughing. You turn the final page, your fingers trembling. A single snowflake drifts down from the ceiling of the quiet archive, landing on the paper. This log details the final moments of an assault team inside SCP-610, the flesh that hates. Contact was re-established after they fell into a subterranean cavern. The footage opens with chaos. The team is struggling in a fast-moving current of viscous red-brown liquid. It's not water. It's runoff from the infected. The cavern walls are not rock, but bleeding scabs and pulsating organs. The filth carries them onwards and then upwards into what the logs designate SCP-610-L5. They are dragged screaming out of their reality. They are on course now and cannot be saved. They are pulled into L4, their bones crushed by cartilage pressing in from all sides. They are pulled into L3, stretched thin across the impossible geometry of this new world. As they pass into L2, they see it, the central nervous system of the universe, an engorged human head the size of a planet, screaming up at them. They scream down at it. They are dragged through L1, past bloody constructs and an eternity of empty space. Fingers drag desperately along the very fabric of reality, but the void snatches them away. Only one of them is left. He gibbers pathetically, floating through a nightmare of crimson protrusions. He smashes through the text of the special containment procedures. He smashes through the object class. His fingers grasp the item number, holding on desperately to the last piece of coherent reality he can find. He squeezes his eyes shut, but it doesn't matter. His fingers slip. He is dragged onwards, into the blank space at the end of the document, where nothing is written. And in that final silent void, a mouth of 7 teeth, each gnarled like an ancient thorn, opens and closes itself around the world of the last man. The jaws of the Maldeity snap shut. If you are anything like me, you are asking one simple question right now. What in the ever-loving hell did we just witness? We started with a blizzard that erases information. We read 3 horrifying, seemingly complete versions of famously unfinished SCP articles. And it ended with the universe being devoured. The key to understanding this lies in the meta-narrative. This entire anomaly, SCP-2747, is a symptom of something far older and far more terrifying, something known as SCP-2747 The Anafabula. The Anafabula is not an entity in the traditional sense. It is a meta-narrative predator, a hole in reality that manifests within stories, fictions, and narratives. It is drawn to certain recurring tropes, the number 7, black spires or thorns, and narrative incompleteness. The original files for SCP-087, SCP-783, and SCP-610 were all famously, tantalizingly unfinished. They were open doors. They were invitations. The Anafabula entered those stories. It consumed them from the inside out, rewriting them into the apocalyptic final versions we just read. And as it devoured those lower-level narratives, it grew stronger, allowing it to climb the narrative ladder and begin consuming our own reality. The blizzard, SCP-7427, is the physical manifestation of this process. It is the Anafabula erasing our world, our history, our information, until all that is left is a blank page. The Foundation realized what was happening. The mission to the exclusionary site, the mnestics, the desperate search for the files, it was a last-ditch effort to understand the pattern to fight back, but it was too late. Dr. Cynthia's theory was that a conscious, anchored observer could resist the erasure. But you cannot fight a monster that has already eaten the story you exist in. This is a K-class scenario from which the Foundation will not bounce back. This is not a monster that can be contained, or a god that can be appeased. This is the horror of realizing you are nothing more than words on a page, and the author has just been eaten. The Anafabula is one of the most terrifying concepts the Foundation has ever faced because it confirms our deepest existential fear. And in the silence that follows when the blizzard has passed and the archives are empty, you realize the most terrifying truth of all: the story is over.